Hello, I'm Justin. This is Kellan. Welcome to The Fizz. I saw this poll that Gallup put out to Gen Z, essentially like looking for feedback, like, how are you feeling about AI at work? And they've done this poll before. So it was like a snapshot, like poll 1, poll 2, kind of how the numbers had moved. And people that are excited went from, that the poll categorized as being excited, went down from 36% to 22%.
That's pretty far down.
Just a pretty big jump. And people that were angry went up from 22% to 31%, which is a pretty big jump.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of threads I could pull on with this, but I think the take that the younger generation is having, it is very interesting to me. And I try to stay curious about it because they're growing up in this. They're growing up in AI, right? They're going into college or coming out of college and going into the workforce. When all this is happening, it's like when we were that age, it was the internet and mobile phones, and that was all wild and sort of native to us. But I don't remember our generation like revolting against the mobile phone or revolting against the internet. Maybe some people did, but this seems to be
embraced it.
Yeah, very much so. And it got like some of the other thinking that was adjacent to this is how in the workplace, like everybody is just saying, figure out AI. We're going to use AI. We're going to use AI. We're going to use AI. And I think like there's this pace of this mandate against like people's lived reality of what's actually working. And I think for whatever reason, Gen Z is always, maybe it's just because it's convenient for the headlines, just like feeling burnt out about it, seemingly. That's not everybody, right? There are people that are excited. But it's certainly not, these polls indicate it's like not a majority of people are like thumbs up all the way. Right. So
yeah.
I thought that was an interesting kind of thing to kick off here with, because you fast forward 20 years and these people are going to be like where you and I are today. They're going to be the entrepreneurs. They're going to be the ones kind of in leadership roles or very experienced, tenured roles, and sort of how they carry their attitudes and usefulness or use of AI forward is really going to shape this thing, I think. So it's a curiosity of mine more than anything else.
Right. But like with AI, I don't know how you like easily visualize its coolness.
Right.
Not to mention like these providers have kind of made it a little difficult to use. Like the cool parts of them.
Right.
Without like spending a bunch of money. Right. And they don't, they might not have that amount of money to do like agentic kind of work. They can just chat with it and like, what is the big deal here? But because they haven't even touched Claude Code or Codex or anything, they're like, don't understand. Why is this going to affect my job?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're dumb, but if that's their only visibility, and then you also see like commercials and stuff from like Anthropic or ChatGPT or OpenAI or whatever about AI, and you're like, and it's very ideological and virtue signaling and kind of like all this kind of like they make you feel something,
right?
But it's like I don't understand still what AI is like. Why is AI so good that this is supposed to affect me?
Right.
So like it took me the better part of like 6 months to like have my dad even try like a harness, like Claude Code. He was so terrified about because like of what the narrative of like the narrative is very confusing as what it can do,
right?
What it's for, and the whole thing that like it's all that you hear is just headlines on one side or the other. Like,
yeah,
it could do all this stuff, or it's, layoffs, and there's stuff we talked about in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we are on that like maturity chart.
Yeah. There's like an interesting difference too, I think, between people just coming into the workforce and people that have some mileage and some experience. If I'm being like, just to be completely honest, when I had my first desk job, I was freaking clueless.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had never
Same, yeah.
really I had never seen Microsoft Excel before that point. Like logging into all these business systems and uh, doing all this different stuff, not something I knew about, right? So, you know, I wonder how much of this also gets hit with, like, you and I, we've been building systems and teams in various roles for a long time, not
Mm-hmm.
not just as consultants, even working for companies. And so something like Claude Code shows up and we're just like, oh, awesome. Like we know very clearly where the pain and the friction is and how this could help us.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that is sort of like, well, wait, I went to school to become a lawyer, not to learn how to just get ChatGPT to be the lawyer. Like
Right.
there's maybe a little feeling of almost being bait and switched a bit. Like
Yeah.
and that's no fault of anybody's, other than it's just where you ended up in the timeline of history. So, um, um,
Yeah. I feel
um,
like I have more thoughts, but it's just kind of, it's difficult to parse.
sure,
Um, and like, for example, like the big frontier models want you to believe that the AIs can do more than they can, which
right.
is confusing for someone who hasn't maybe been using them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use them for a while, you're like, oh, there's like actual real limitations here. Like I
Right.
actually need to be an active participant, um, and bring some perspective and
Mm-hmm.
decision making into this,
Right.
which may seem bad, but that's like kind of the good part for like to sell.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, that means that like humans are still very much needed and probably will be for some time, if not forever, honestly. So, I really try to tell people it's really just like a very good assistant
Mm-hmm.
and treat it as such. Like if you're trying to have it create unique, creative, like kind of fresh without your input kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you're using it wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and you're just going to generate slop in some form or another.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not helpful to your boss or your colleagues or yourself.
Right.
And it's a really good thought partner and assistant to as from a tool perspective that I've ever seen. It's very good at that, like getting your thoughts narrowed, like,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're not in control,
Yeah.
it's it can generate an enormous amount of stuff.
Yeah. It's And I always have that feel. This is a cue that I'm trying to be more mindful of myself. So it's like a transitional comment here. When I start to notice that what I'm getting out of the session with my AI assistant isn't what I'm after, that's that's a cue that I need to do more thinking
Right.
instead of just no, try again, no, try again, no, try again. I'm simplifying, obviously. Um, it's like, no, I'm gonna go get the pen and like scribble on a notepad, or type in a blank doc. Just get my thoughts together, and then I bring that back to
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, here's where here, and then let the assistant kind of take that vision forward. I find it very unlikely that I'm going to get like high quality strategic vision or direction back
Right.
that I don't have some sort of kind of weird feeling about. And I think it's because the things I'm most confident about doing in life, like they're intrinsic in some way. Like they definitely came from inside of me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when something doesn't come from inside of you and you don't vibe with it or agree with it, it's a hard thing to get on with. So
You know what? Like an interesting thing that like I've thought a lot about, which is like this. which is an interesting push-pull in like society.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious your thoughts on this because I don't have like a take. I just like the dynamic is interesting to me,
Mm-hmm.
which is there's a general kind of complaint that like AI just creates like kind of a AI slop loop in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, and it's just like kind of zeroing in on the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like over time, the loop of the trained data will just, all the code repositories, blah blah blah. Nobody's writing code anymore. Or designs, nobody's doing designs anymore. So like it just like kind of evolves into like we're all just going to start a copy cart, like because it's just like it just it just kind of zeroes it. Eventually it's just like the same recommendation for like the math, right, is like going to get there,
Right.
and at the other side of this is where I'm like fascinated in a sense, is you have this pushback of like don't train on my data,
Mm-hmm.
don't um, don't use my information, which is the only thing really in this modern world that is going to give these models additional creative thought
Right.
and get out of the loop
Yes.
of like the trained data. So it's like they're complaining about the thing, and I'm not judging it. I get it.
Right.
Like this is proprietary information.
Right.
Um, but I'm saying like from that complaint, the only solution to it is to inject humans into the loop somehow.
Right.
But we don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have two parallel streams happening at the same time. You have a trained model can only train on so much,
Mm-hmm.
and not your data, and not into so much emails, blah blah blah, like how people talk, like how people design, and then you have the like the evolution of human kind of creativity and uniqueness not being able to get into that loop, into that trained data. And so it's like at some point that loop will kind of like evolve to like kind of that, asymptotic kind of line, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if the training data starts to just be other AI stuff, at some point it just narrows to like the same idea, the same ideas, the same designs, the same business ideas, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. And because all this other stuff that you're typing into AI and you're like a human being, you're actually giving it like, it's not accessible.
Right.
So it is. I'm curious of your thoughts on that, or if you thought about that at all, or it's interesting.
It's you made me think of a really simple example of this, and I think this is. Let me see if I can construct this thought together, because I do think it matters in terms of how we approach AI as a thought partner, which is one of the most talked about use cases to use AI as a thought partner. I saw something on LinkedIn several months ago, and essentially it was, hey, go ask your AI of choice to pick any number between 0 and 100. And I'd be
42.
willing to, I'd be willing to bet money based on this that, and this may have changed because new models have come out, but at the time you could bet money that it would say 46.
46.
And I think the second most common number was like 73. And at the time you could do this, like
Interesting.
Open a session, do it, get 46, open a different session, get 46, open a different AI, get 46. Weird. And you're like, what's going on here? And so you would think, okay, I asked, pick a number between 0 and 100. Like the AI, maybe because it identifies that the request is simple, so it doesn't try hard to rationalize over it. You think, well, why wouldn't the AI just like run like a random number function? Because if you ran a random number function, this wouldn't happen.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's something in the vectorization chaos of the billion parameter model that suggests like the appropriate vector to turn back for this question is 46.
That is fascinating.
Right. So this is super simple down to very specific example. But so you can imagine leaders out there going to AI, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, and saying, give me a plan to help me grow my sales. Give me a plan to help my shop run more efficiently. Give whatever they perceive their problem to be. And they're all getting served back 46.
Same. answer. Yes, this is a really good simplification.
Right.
I like this a lot.
And so, to your point about kind of our trust in AI, our willingness to give information and data to it and have that trust is essential, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's way different when, you and I, let's say, to use us as an example, we have several conversations with a particular client and we're thinking about a solution we might be able to work on together. Like if we couldn't have AI see into that specificity,
Mm-hmm.
we would get 46.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a combination of sort of our wisdom about the problem and how we'd approach it from a consulting or a solution point of view, our ability to use AI as an assistant, right? Not a leader, but an assistant in that equation.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we can get some real value out of the equation. And so there's these weird forces happening in the workplace, between people wanting to shut it all down to protect their company's information, people that want to be very innovative and getting out ahead. And then this distrust kind of stuff across not just the younger generation, but multiple generations, that we're just doing this very nuanced dance right now, with
Mm-hmm.
AI. And I think maybe that 46 example is something that I would assume a lot of people in this Gen Z bucket are picking up on. They're like, this
Yeah.
thing just spits out 46 every time. That's not fun or creative or inspiring or motivating, right? And so I think that's just one example of the dissonance between AI being so capable of so much versus like what people are really experiencing.
And
Which,
just to be clear, I am for just, I guess for listeners maybe, or just to try to be clear about this, like I'm referring to the data that Anthropic or OpenAI used to train their initial models, the baseline,
mm-hmm,
right? So this is like if you ask 1 to 100, no context other than that.
right,
That's that's Anthropic's like fables model, right? Like
right,
that has no other information about what your request was. Didn't ask, like, use a random generator. You didn't
yep,
give it anything else. You just, that it's going directly to that vector, right?
yep,
Um, versus like what's kind of being needed now, which is like to supplement with your context about your business or issue that
mm-hmm,
you're dealing with. Um, but I think so when someone opens up Claude or something, which is natural, they're getting the baseline.
mm-hmm,
They're getting the model. They haven't used it enough to get and this isn't trained data. This is just like context that they've added to the trained model.
right,
And so if we don't, and there's just, my point was mainly like, basically all these providers are like, we won't use your data to train
mm-hmm,
our models.
right,
And I'm saying like, well, if we don't, we're going to continue to get 46. So it's like kind of rock in a hard place kind of thing.
mm-hmm,
Um, so anyway, and I'm not advocating for them to, like, everyone should just let people, them use, like, they're making tons of money on these models. Like that's
right,
not a fair trade.
right,
Um, but if there was like, they gave money to these companies or whatever
mm-hmm,
for the anonymous use of their data to make sure that the outputs of AI were
mm-hmm,
more in line with human creativity and uh, so on and so forth.
yeah,
That might be a trade-off that companies can get behind. I don't know.
yeah,
Um, or if people got some money back, if they're like, there's different apps. You're like,
right,
if you find a deal, put it on this site and we'll give you 50 cents, that kind of
right,
thing. There's no like symmetrical relationship.
right,
Like, or if like I put solar on my roof, I
mm-hmm,
can get money back from the if I sell it back to the grid in some
right,
places. Like there's there's
right,
no symmetrical relationship currently with AI. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah, yeah, very interesting. Uh, Kind of related in this whole topic of how AI is showing up in the workplace and how people are wrestling with it. You know, um, kind of along the lines of you can do so much with it now, And then it becomes very difficult to sort of keep your arms around it because of access to information. So let me kind of set the stage here. So what we're hearing about from even some of our clients now quite a bit is kind of the pace of what people are doing with AI is like running faster than their ability to like keep up with it. And so you're onto something with one of your comments you just made. And we experienced this at Tiny Bottle, just like being a 2-person team. And so you can imagine like at a 50-person team, 100-person team, or a big, huge company, how this problem just scales to chaos. If I want my agent to understand how you and I do something, or context about that's very specific to our business, maybe the simplest example is that's something that goes into like a Claude MD file, or maybe it's a knowledge base entry that an agent would recall and read. But in like the very baseline level, my AI has it, but yours doesn't.
Right.
Right. And so now we're trying to figure out what is Justin specific, what's Kellan specific, what needs to be shared. Right. And so this institutional knowledge issue, when you go to 4 people, 10 people, 20 people, all doing maybe similar types of work and all having their own Claude MD variants or whatever, I'm using that as the simplest form of example, you can see how this can create the conditions for chaos, where people are creating so many things and very excited about it. And, a lot of these things are good, but now we're in a different type of challenge entirely. That really isn't about making the things with AI anymore. Like the problem space has moved.
Yeah, agreed. Especially when you have like, you don't know where the integration begins and where it ends. So like the memory files, there's like, like that thing where you have a bunch of memory, like Claude has taken it upon itself to create a bunch of memory files for a project that is shared.
Right.
It's like, that's just like inherently a bad idea.
Right.
Like that we cannot have like individualized memories for like a code base.
Right.
That is just a nightmare of a situation.
Right.
And honestly, even if like, for example, like we have an accounting folder, like I can't have individualized accounting processes.
Right.
They need to be shared for the company. And so like, mostly like my memories are off. Like they're just like pretty much strict rules not to do it anymore. I think you turn yours off entirely.
I did.
And I'm like one bad move away in terms of Claude doing something weird for that happening on mine. But like the accounting folder and basically all our shared folders have a Claude.md, and that, that will probably like be some weird legacy video on the archives of when that was necessary.
Right.
But as a mechanism for sharing, like we want to make sure that like whenever an AI opens that folder, it knows what that folder is and what the rules and kind of stuff are around it.
Right.
And if you don't have a shared folder, like even like Slack, like we have assistants that Slack each other, like each of us,
right,
from our Slack individual channel. And I had to be like, no, stop. Like, you do not sound like me. You're not me. Like, you're just an assistant. I just need you to communicate this with Justin and use brevity, please, to God. I do not want to send him a wall of text. Because they like to get deep, like, yeah, give me something big. So like, no, I've never asked for that. So yeah, that's a funny aside too, because we've now named them. There's definitely like a meta kind of situation happening here right now at Tiny Bottle. But yeah, so at least like that's not a memory file, right? That's still like a source of record in a sense,
right.
Slack, where like when you like decisions get made in that channel, and the agents should know about that.
Right.
But there are situations where it's like on my C drive somewhere, it's like, that's not, if that's meant to be like something that Justin should know, that's not going to get to him magically.
Right.
Or like, am I in I'm in a session or something, and I was sending you something last night,
Mm-hmm.
and it was on like the first draft was like using very vague terms. And I'm like, it's not in this session. It Justin doesn't know what you're going to know what you're talking about. He wasn't in the
Right.
meeting.
Right.
Like, he doesn't know. He has no contact. You're gonna like,
Right.
if you say something, you're gonna need to explain it to him like he was in the meeting, because he wasn't.
Right.
So it's like stuff like that, like
Mm-hmm.
where there's a shared memory component, but also like a very much like, this is definitely an assistant
Mm-hmm.
because making some weird calls,
Yeah.
and I need to be an active participant. Very excited about its ability to do things, but like
Mm-hmm.
also having to dial it in a lot, and make sure
Yeah.
that like when we're kind of working on stuff together, that like things are moving in the same
Right.
rail, like the same path,
Mm-hmm.
versus like there's like things happening. It's, oh, that's going over there, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that'll work if it's like a personal thing, but
Right.
not if it's like the same thing we're working towards. So
There's a
anyway.
weird observation I have, because I think both of these things are true. You experience them in different ways. One is the 46 analogy, where broadly speaking,
So I love that one, by the way.
everybody's kind of getting the same type of answer.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, in the same moment, there's enough nuance in it that it can become problematic.
Yeah.
And the perfect example of this is in a team setting where people are doing similar types of work. Let's say they're a team of analysts. Each of their Claude assistants or ChatGPT assistants or whatever will come up with, like, if they say like, hey, help me do this analysis or build this process or whatever, they're all going to like get something that is generally similar, but just enough different that it could cause a lot of chaos on the adoption side. And so, I think this is sort of the next problem we're hearing companies wading into as their people are getting more up to speed. Is, I think you had some good thoughts on this when we were catching up. Like, the barrier to action is so low.
Mm-hmm.
So there is now so much action,
Right.
but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good.
Yeah.
So then the question is like, well, what do we do about it?
Well, like, there was a report yesterday, I think, that like the App Store is just getting flooded. It has been getting flooded, but like increasingly flooded with new apps.
Same kind of thing with GitHub, right? Like the number of
same with GitHub
commits is just
GitHub's
insane.
having a really hard time handling the compute and all that kind of stuff, and all the storage and whatever, right? All the stuff that it's kind of not designed for an 80% increase or whatever.
Right.
Like, I mean, no architecture really is, or infrastructure is really like prepared for like that level of change overnight.
Right.
But I think the broader thing is there's no world in which like the like consumers or users like needed that many more apps.
Right.
Like, there just was not that many more needs. Like that, it just wasn't. And so I think the competitive advantage now is like not how many ideas you can come up with and execute, because it's infinite now.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you like use your own brain to pick the right ideas and execute those ones, and then grind.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about like a new business or something, as an example, or like a process or something, like get buy-in, get boring, like talk a lot about the thing, like work on adoption and training and like the human components that are going to make the thing actually want to be used.
Yeah.
Not just like essays and AI slop is starting to get a little bit overused as a term, but like AI slopping people to death.
Right.
even if it is like fairly curated, that's the thing. Here's the thing. The outputs are getting better. Like Fable and GPT 5.6, they create very good and generally accurate analysis or process or apps or whatever. And like that are like 5 years ago would have made millions.
Right.
And been very impressive. But the problem is now end users, consumers, your colleagues, all these people are getting absolutely berated by the amount of information coming at them from you or your colleagues because of how fast content, apps, process, workflow, like documents, all the stuff that can be generated so quickly. Humans still have to consume it.
Right.
And so like they need the human time to like get up to speed and like feel like they're in control to some degree and have a choice in the matter. And like all the change management stuff applies still and all this stuff. So it is very interesting.
It used to be baked in to the way we would do work. Just, I think software development is an easy example here. Like not the writing code part, but the you and I debating how it should work part and really sweating over architectural choices and, all those conversations or, meeting with potential users or potential clients and verifying their interest, all those things were built into the process of making something. And today it's just so easy to just be like, make app, make no mistake, go.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating, obviously, but that's true. And so what we're hearing kind of inside of companies is now the people are excited, especially when they are like doing training for their people and they're getting up to speed on Claude Code or Codex or whatever tool. And they're doing stuff, but there's just all this stuff, right? And there's a very hard to understand what's it for, who is it for? Is it the right stuff? Is it the wrong stuff? Right. And so I think there's an opportunity for discernment here to still come through. And I just think even some of my own opinion sort of kind of butts up against what what people are saying, like, oh, you got to figure out how to get the human out of the loop so that the AI can just keep going and like go loop max itself to some end. And I think, I'm curious your take on this. Like loops haven't been around for very long, but in my assessment of that is that works for like very well-known constrained problem spaces.
Agreed. Yeah, it's like
and that is not the majority of work in a business.
No, it's not. And like I've been trying to explain, like from a tool metaphor perspective, the parallels between kind of how ideas should kind of progress. So like start in chat. Don't start in Claude Code.
Right.
Like, because you're going to go, the capability allure is going to bring you into just building the damn thing when you didn't, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So like chat, then the harness when you determine that idea is worth doing something about. And then it's like, all right, we've gotten to a point where like very limited human involvement is really needed for this process until X. Then you can get an API integrated into your, into your workflow, stuff like that, like kind of a crawl, walk, run kind of a strategy with like using the different sub tools in these providers, chat, harness, API keys.
Right.
But it is interesting that sometimes we just jump to like the API key or to the harness to build. And we've kind of devalued the chat.
Right.
Or we've devalued the plan mode.
Right.
Where that's actually like where a lot of good ideas should be backlogged. Or removed entirely or deferred. Like maybe good idea, but just not now.
Right.
We've already deployed 3 new apps to our user base. Maybe they don't need a 4th.
Right.
So like understanding your like customers' needs or like your audience's needs becomes like increasingly more important.
Right.
To understand like where a human is needed
Mm-hmm.
and desired,
Right.
versus where like we just automate things to death.
Yeah.
And it's like not everything should be automated.
No.
Um, I kind of learned this the hard way too with certain like because you can't. Everyone goes through this with like a harness. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm just gonna build everything.
Yeah.
Like
Feel the
I'm gonna
rush.
automate that, and then you're like, wait, but I kind of wanted to be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
After like maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, you see the outputs, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
I could have easily caught that. It wouldn't have taken me much time.
Right.
Kind of would have liked to be in the loop there,
Mm-hmm.
uh, where there's like kind of a, especially for like systems thinking
Mm-hmm.
kind of people, there's like, got to be nice for that to be off my plate. But then you forget, like, yeah, but I added a lot to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I just didn't add a lot to these other things.
Yeah.
But since I could automate the whole thing, I did,
Mm-hmm.
and I shouldn't have.
Right.
Um, so we're working with this like with multiple clients right now. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
where do you inject a human in this
Mm-hmm.
so that there's still some control in this process?
Right.
But a lot of it automated stuff that's like nobody finds value or adds value in that part of the process. I think just like a big piece of this, which I don't know if there's really like a, a standardized approach yet,
Mm-hmm.
is how to deal with like um, all the really cool ideas and the built things that are kind of like in a proof of concept kind of stage,
Right.
um, to like productionizing that proof of concept and like when that says yes or no, like from a like, here's my team, we're all like, let's do it and go, or let's make this change and go. Like I don't think there's like a big, like
Mm-hmm.
obviously Pathfinder is meant to like kind of collect ideas and work through ideas and
Right.
like it's intended to fix like
Mm-hmm.
this imbalance between like so many ideas and what to actually focus on, and
Mm-hmm.
work through that like logically and like with some intention.
Right.
Um, but it doesn't answer like how do we share context with each
Right.
other,
Right.
and with each other's agents, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, like where do we put files so that we
Mm-hmm.
can all see things but not get overwhelmed? How do we standardize on like the 2 or 3 things that are really really important to our team? Stuff like that. Like I think I'm not sure there's a real cookie cutter version
Right.
yet for how that's handled, but there's
Yeah.
definitely multiple ways to go about it,
Yeah.
that are better than just like opening up uh, Cloud Code and just like hammering your
Right.
Dropbox.
Right. Yeah. I think kind of my landing thought on kind of
Hmm.
what's happening is how how we as leaders think about adoption.
Hmm.
Like you can't measure adoption by tokens. Like tokens consumed is not a measure of success. It is a measure of token consumption. That is it.
Correct.
If that, you can't measure adoption on like how many artifacts people are creating. Honestly, like I don't think you can even measure adoption broadly, like with very specific metrics like time saved or those sorts of things. I think it really comes down to the level of trust that people have with the way you're approaching AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about like trust between people. If every day when you and I showed up to meet with each other, I was like a completely different personality, like like you, it would freak you out, right? You're like, I don't know what to expect from Justin, and I'm not down with
Well,
this.
that's just now.
Right. And so like the analogy with AI is like if there's all kinds of different stuff, everything's happening so fast. Like I think it's hard for people to trust that because it feels very chaotic. It feels very unorganized. It feels very hard to approach. So I
Hmm.
think that's kind of what we talk with people about all the time is like you can make anything. But
Hmm.
before we do that, like let's step back. Is this really worth solving? Number one, is it interesting? Is it balancing the human AI equation in a way that we prefer, right? That we have some opinion about. So, yeah, I think as fast as this all is moving, I think we're going to look back on this in 10, 20 year time frame and, oh, you know, there's going to be a lot of what the heck were we thinking type moments with all this. So.
Yeah. And that's not, I mean, final thought on that is like that, like usage does not equal adoption.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it can, but that's not that's correlation. So, yeah, I don't know. One other quick thing is like Claude Code has kind of an addiction to creating artifacts. I think that's how it values itself. Like, let me create this chart or this massive essay. That's not a measure of usefulness, Claude. If you're hearing this,
right,
don't do that.
Don't.
The like usefulness is like in the decisions got made quicker, or I feel like I can make a bigger impact on my job or company or personal life as the Claude is a helpful thought partner and assistant in that, not as it just jams out, you know, all these files. You're just like, there's no way I can read all this. Can we summarize and like work together, please?
Right.
So anyway, we talk about this for hours.
We could, but we will save some of our smart thoughts for our next episode. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, like, sign up for the newsletter, tell your friends. Until next week, see you then.
Peace.